नाज़रीन, पाकिस्तान की खारजा पॉलिसी इस वक्त एक तारीखी मोड़ पर है, जहां पे इस्लामाबाद, ईरान और अमेरिका के दरमियान जारी हसास तरीन बैक चैनल डिप्लोमेसी के दूसरे मरहले के लिए मेज़बानी की भरपूर कोशिशें की जा रही हैं। वज़ीर-ए-आज़म शहबाज शरीफ का 15 से 18 अप्रैल तक सऊदी अरब, कतर और तुर्किया का हंगामी दौरा महज रस्मी नहीं बल्कि इस अजीम तर सफारती मिशन का हिस्सा है, जिसका मकसद खित्ते के अहम स्टेक होल्डर्स को इस अहम पेशरफ पर एतमाद में लेना है। दूसरी तरफ सदर ट्रंप ने भी इंदिया दिया है कि अमेरिका और ईरान के दरमियान मुज़ाकरात अगले 2 दिनों में हो सकते हैं और हम पाकिस्तान जा सकते हैं। इन अहम मुज़ाकरात की कोशिशों को हकीकत में बदलने के लिए आज फील्ड मार्शल सैयद आसिम मुनीर और वफाकी वज़ीर दाखिला मोहसिन नकवी तेहरान पहुंचे, जहां ईरानी वज़ीर ख़ारजा अब्बास शिराज़ी ने पाकिस्तान के आला सतह के वफ़द का इस्तकबाल किया। पाकिस्तान, ईरान और अमेरिका के दरमियान मुज़ाकरात के दूसरे दौर के लिए पुरुमीद है। सवाल यह है कि क्या अमेरिका और ईरान के दरमियान होने वाले सीज़ फायर मुआहदे में तोसी हो सकती है? क्या 21 अप्रैल से पहले इस्लामाबाद में एक दफ़ा फिर अमेरिका और ईरान मुज़ाकरात के लिए एक दूसरे से सामने बैठ सकते हैं? इस हवाले से मजीद बात करेंगे। हमारे साथ इस वक्त मौजूद हैं अमरीकी सहाफ़ी जिनका ताल्लुक है न्यूयॉर्क पोस्ट से, केटलिन डॉनबॉस। केटलिन, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग अस। इट्स एन ऑनर टू हैव यू ऑन द शो। माय फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, you've been in touch with the Trump administration. What is the mood in Washington right now? I mean, as we speak.
Sure. As we speak, I mean, I haven't been in Washington since before this all started. So, but as I'm talking to officials, it seems like there is a lot of hope that is going forward to have these talks happen. We don't have anything confirmed yet as far as dates or really even whether they actually are for sure happening. But I mean, even talking to President Trump yesterday, you could tell in his voice that he had a lot of hope that something big was going to happen. The fact that he actually called me to say, you might want to stick around in Islamabad for a little bit while longer. There are some big things that are happening. That to me signals that he's serious, that this isn't just some kind of conjecture, that this could happen. He has a relative amount of assurance that something really big, at least a second round of talks, could really happen. And can you imagine if this leads to peace between the United States and Iran?
It surely will be good news. Caitlin, and do we have any idea if the American delegation is expected to arrive in Islamabad? Who would be part of that delegation? Do we have any idea about that?
So we don't have any announcement from the White House or any even planning guidance from the White House that there is a delegation for sure coming. That's something that we will know ahead of time quite a bit, because obviously it is a long flight to get here, about 17 hours if you take directly from DC to Islamabad. So we're still waiting to hear from that. Granted, the last talks came together within about 24 to 48 hours, at least as far as the press finding out and them actually happening. It was a matter of 12 hours between I found out about them and then I was on a plane, to be completely honest. So it really could happen at any time. As far as the makeup of the delegation, there's one thing that I know for sure, and that it's not going to include President Trump. President Trump told me yesterday, and we reported it in the New York Post, that he is not coming on this trip, but he's sending his team. And if it's the same team that happened this past weekend, which I would say is a probably a good bet. We'd see envoy Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and possibly even Vice President Vance coming back to seal this deal, or at least get it closer to the sealing line. It's still massive, and it's clear that Pakistan is doing a lot to make this peace agreement happen, to bring these parties to the table. It's a commitment to peace and also their commitment to neutrality and keeping lines open and trust with each of the countries. That's really unique, and it's something that Pakistan really offers, not just the US and Iran, but really the world, by being able to facilitate those types of talks. You know, when I talked to President Trump, he had originally given me some other options that could possibly happen as far as where these talks could take place. He said possibly somewhere in Central Europe, but then ultimately decided on Istanbul, and I think that is because of the unique opportunities that this place offers.
Caitlin, as far as the Pakistani media is concerned, we've always been really worried about how the Americans look at Pakistan, and obviously how Pakistan looks at the Americans. Now you're here, you've been here for the past few days now, and you've seen all the development. Is there a change in your thinking now about Pakistan?
You know, travel is the best way to open up your mind. And I always have been such a big advocate as a foreign policy reporter to actually go to the scene. And I could not be more accurate to say that that applies here. Coming to Pakistan has been a wonderful experience for me, being able to tell the stories of the world from the source of where it happened, but also just as a child, you know, I came from the generation that 9/11 happened when I was in 4th grade. And I was very young, and kind of coming up and watching the news, the association that I had with Pakistan all throughout my youth was with the war there. And with the Taliban, and with the terrible things that happened over those 20 years. So to be able to come here and see and experience the hospitality and the warmth and the beauty and the culture of this nation, I feel so grateful for this opportunity. And it's funny, you know, even my friends back home or my family members might be worried about me here. And of course there are risks. But ultimately, I tell them, I'm like, you don't really need to worry so much about me because I am having such a lovely time. And the people of Pakistan have just welcomed me with open arms, and I could not be more grateful.
It's good to hear that. I hope your stay actually remains warm over here and you keep on enjoying the hospitality. Caitlin, coming back to that media briefing, which was done by the Vice President JD Vance, for me, it was a bit surprising. Don't you think it was a very short media briefing? I expected a much more lengthier media talk.
Sure, it was pretty short. He cut it off pretty quickly. I was shouting some questions at him there at the end. He didn't take any of them. Even in one of my questions that I asked was just, does this mean the war is back on? And he didn't take that question. So he was clearly on a way to get out of there, but given what he revealed in that talk, I guess it really isn't that surprising. There wasn't that much more news that he really could say other than give these brief remarks. And ultimately, I mean, us in the American delegation of press, we were just glad that he came out and spoke to us, because obviously that's not something that the Iranian journalists got to have from their own leader and negotiators who were there at the scene. So we were grateful for the access to be able to speak to him, especially after staying up all night long, 17 hours on the floor of the Serena Hotel, waiting for him to come greet us. So we were grateful, but yes, of course, we would have loved to have more time with him.
And in that press briefing, I was actually a bit surprised because I thought the main problem area could be the Strait of Hormuz. But when he actually described what was the point of contention, that wasn't the Strait of Hormuz. Actually, it was the uranium enrichment issue that actually raised its head. That came as a surprise to you?
You know, I had the same reaction at first, but now that I'm like looking back at it, President Trump has always been very consistent, and his consistency has been no nuclear for Iran. Obviously going back to a year from now, or a year ago now, to the strikes on the nuclear sites, and his continued rhetoric throughout that Iran just cannot have nuclear weapons. So to look at that consistency and see what came out of that, as far as that being the sticking point, that actually aligns very much with what he was thinking. And of course, you know, the issue of the Strait of the Hormuz, it wasn't an issue longer than 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. It was the result of this war. And so for that to be a sticking point, certainly it is involved, but really what this comes down to, and the reason why this war was started, was the nuclear issue. So it doesn't, I mean, it certainly does track that would be the issue at hand.
All right, thank you so much, Kathleen. Thank you so much for your time. नाज़रीन, कैटलिन डॉनबॉस हमारे साथ मौजूद थी। न्यूयॉर्क पोस्ट की ये सहाफ़ी हैं, इनकी कल डोनाल्ड ट्रंप से गुफ्तगू हुई थी। डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने इन्हें फ़ोन करके इन्होंने पहले उनसे पूछा कि मैं इस्लामाबाद के अंदर हूँ, क्या मैं यहाँ से चली जाऊँ। उस वक्त उन्होंने कहा कि हाँ, आप यहाँ से अब चली जाएँ, बेशक अमेरिका का सफ़र, वापसी का सफ़र जो है वो शुरू कर दें। लेकिन बाद में उन्होंने कहा कि मुझे डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने तकरीबन 37 मिनट के बाद दोबारा कॉल किया और उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, मेरे ख्याल में आपको यहीं पे रहना चाहिए, अभी आपको यहाँ से नहीं जाना चाहिए। और इसीलिए वो काफ़ी हद तक उन्हें उम्मीद है, पूरी उम्मीद लगती है कि अगले जो मुज़ाकरात का दौर है वो शायद इस्लामाबाद के अंदर ही होगा। बहुत शुक्रिया, थैंक यू सो मच कैथलीन फॉर जॉइनिंग अस।